for recognition. Please put your hands together for them. Alright, so this morning we have five, let me say, individuals, yes, who will be transiting from elementary school to high school, and then one person who will be transiting from high school to the tertiary institution. So, where do we start from?
The first person, obviously.
Okay.
So, will the families of Mr. and Mrs. Usiani please rise and proceed to the front and accompany of their work? Please don't stop clapping till they get here. They have to take their time. It's their time. Don't stop clapping, even if your hand gets red. Just keep clapping. Please remain pushed to the front.
And alongside with my wife, Moyo, it's with joy and honor that we stand here this morning to introduce Emmanuel to the house. Emmanuel Oluchukwu Oluwatimileyin was born on Friday, 22nd of February 2008. At about 5 p.m. at Solar Hospital here in Jos. She's the 10th child of the family. Her conception came at a time we thought we were done with childbearing, but God, in His divine providence, had better plans than us by sending her to this world through us. Looking back and the circumstances surrounding both her conception and delivery, because it took about 12 hours of labor, intensive labor, we will say that she's a testimony of God's assuring presence. She's a testimony of heavenly backup and divine wonders, just as her name implies. Emmanuel is a special breed with a unique and peculiar personality. We are still trying to understand all about her. Every day we keep discovering more of her that God has put in her. She's a bundle of energy and an industry on her own. Okay, she's always willing to undertake new assignments, new challenges, and new things. At times we won't slow her down. Take it easy, take it easy. I mean, things come in stages. She's a very domesticated child. Okay, in the house we call her Mommy's PA. She's the one that reminds her mom and tells her everything her mom needs to do, and the one she has forgotten to do. Okay, we also call her a house manager. She runs the house for us. If anything is missing or misplaced, if she doesn't know where it is, then forget about it, that is missing. Honestly, at times we keep things that hide things. And even when we can't find those things, she will tell us where we hid them. So now we go with her and listen to the house. She knows where everything is. Okay? We call her our search engine. If you want to remember, just call Emmanuel. She will tell you when it happened, how it happened, and where it happened. So let's talk about her uniqueness. Okay, she's very imaginative, very courageous. Emmanuel is very daring, highly enterprising, audacious, and adventurous. She's also very competitive. You see her contend with her senior ones all the time about issues. She's very tenacious. She's dogged, and we see in her a go-getter. We call her Mama in the house because Mama, we see in you that you are a born leader. Okay, she's always taking initiatives, exhibiting natural leadership qualities, even among her peers. And to complement these heroic qualities of hers, she has a high degree of affinity, love, and compassion for the younger ones around her, especially babies. It's hard to bring a baby around her and pass by her without she expressing her compassion. And we believe this quality of her is in tune with her dream to become a pediatrix when she comes of age. She loves cooking, she loves baking, she also loves singing, watching movies, and telling us stories. She's very friendly and excited to be with. If you leave her alone, she wants everyone to come to the house for a sleepover. That's for her. Okay? With her, there is never a dull moment. Emmanuel, watching you grow, your mom and I, we are so proud of the young girl and lady that you are becoming. You are indeed a child of God, and we are honored to be your parents. We promise before this whole house that we shall continue to do our best as your parents to steward God's resource in your life. We also pledge and promise to deploy every resource within our capacity to give you the very best we can possibly offer and continue to bring you up in the way and the wisdom of God. We pray that as you transit to your next phase of development, which is secondary education, God will continue to count you worthy of His calling and to work in you to fulfill every dream, every aspiration that God Himself has placed in your heart. This you can count on our support as we journey along with you. We love you, sweetheart. Thank you, John.
Now, may I invite Emmanuel's mentor to please come forward in the person of Auntie Pat.
Thank you very much. Good morning, church. I'd like to congratulate Emmanuel, our family, and the entire church. We've raised beautiful children. She's one of them. We give God the praise. Emmanuel, I want you to know, regardless of what anybody says to you, you are very precious. Never forget that. Is that okay? You're precious in God's eyes, you're precious in our eyes. In my time with you in junior church, I've seen you, in a position where you're always willing to help, always doing whatever you ask her to do with a smile. Keep up the good leadership qualities you're beginning to exhibit. As you go on to secondary school, I know you'll be great. I know you'll be influential. If you keep on doing the things that you've been practicing before now. Is that okay? I also want to remind you, remember when we talked about decision making? Whatever decisions you want to make, are those decisions that you want, those ideas, are they excellent? Are they praiseworthy? If they are, then you want to do them. And remember, the promise is that God will be with you as you do that. So I want to congratulate you. And I thank you also for honoring me with the responsibility of being part of your upbringing. Congrats.
Please don't stop clapping as we go back to your seats.
Okay. Next up will be the family of Mr. and Mrs. Agbaje. If I'm saying it correctly.
Thank you very much. Good morning, church. Yeah, my name is Agati Jan. I feel honored and privileged to stand before this congregation on this occasion of Psalm 19, Rite of Passage of the Kingdom's Pavilion, to affirm our daughter, Oluwaseyi Priscilla. Sheyi, as a family called, was born on a Good Friday, 21st of March 2008. This is a memory for us because she came during her church Easter program that was themed via Dolorosa. And to date, we still kept the card as a surveillance in our house. Sheyi is the only one in the family with nobody mate. Just two they know. And she's kind-hearted, always desirous to help. Most times I imagine the kind of energy she has. Always the mother she wants to help her heart. You are not the one that gave her these children. Take this woman to grant, but no way. And she's always there for us as a family. She is highly inquisitive, always desirous to know why this has to be this way. And I always wonder, we went to Ekiti for my sister's wedding last year. And after she did the reading of the letter, she came back to me and asked. She started reminding me why she was considered for that. So she came back to me and asked, said, why is it that my cousins are older than me? I begin to wonder. I said, because my sister is married before I got married. So that is not your business. Mind your own. And she's always like that. She always wants to know why this is so. She is quite creative about anything you engage her with. You give her a small portion to do, she'll come back to that question. Why it cannot be this way? I always wonder. And I begin to explain to her why this is so. She's very honest. She's quite sincere. She wants to. She's not asking questions so that to know how you feel, but she really wants to know. I really appreciate that. So that gives me up time to think through and discuss with her like a friend. Sometimes she will come to me and say, why is it that we don't have money? And I say, the kind of business we do, this is how it is. You come from work, say you just came back, welcome sir. Every time she will always come, nice work today. And as I'm returning to my corner, she will come out and, what the guy did you do at work? That there is no money. I try to explain that this is the issue. That the kind of work we do, it doesn't come this way. This is how it comes. And we need to be patient. And I believe that has helped her to know that. And I keep telling her that we need to have faith in God. Since what we have chosen to do is we believe in it, then one day we'll come through with it. She is passionate about her dream. She always wants to be a medical doctor. We have an idea and we begin to see how to play it through. Bibi told us about a story of a family and we look at it. Okay, since you are, most times I'll just hear, this is 8:00. I don't have matches to light the gas. So what happened? What are we going to do? So sometimes I say, okay, somebody has to go out in the night to go and look for matches. Most times it's not desired. So he says, can you take up this task? I say, okay, so begin to buy small things at home. She sells for us. And I come to realize that she's passionate about it. She kept a record. She most times, the whole album, she will write all those things out. And I was thinking it's something that she needs to explore in life. But all of a sudden, she came with this idea that she wants to be a medical doctor. And that is the only way she wants to help humanity. And I begin to wonder, medical doctor, you are just there to serve. And I begin to explain to her how some people in this profession will join UNICEF and things like that. They will do all managerial job and things. She said, she's okay with it. She just want to help humanity with that. And since that time, she has been stick to that venture. And we, as a parent, at this junction, we want to assure you that we are going to support you in every way possible to make sure that this chosen career will still be through it. And today I want to let you know also that we are honored to have you as a doctor. You've been wonderful in every way. And we're looking at you growing up. Honestly, you have impressed us enough to stand by you in every way possible. We are honored. We are honored to have you as a parent. So yeah, I want to remind you that the Holy Spirit is ever present with you, even if we are not around, as you go to secondary school. And He will always direct and guide you in whatever way that you desire. We cherish you, my girl, as I always say, and we always do. The Lord will bless you. We love you.
Okay, her mentor, Auntie Bart Bansmore.
Good morning once again. Am I not blessed? Very soon we'll have a girls' I congratulate every one of us again. We're grateful to God that you're completing this phase of your life and moving on to a new one. What I can say with Sheyi, my time with them in junior church, is that as a firstborn child, she's already beginning to exhibit leadership qualities. She's always ready to help. I see her with her younger ones. She doesn't need to be told twice. Even without her mother saying anything, she's always ready to help out her younger ones. And that's good because that's how we develop those qualities of being a good leader. She's a reader as well, just like Emmanuel. They love to read. And that, I think, is one thing that connects all of us. So I know you'll be great. I know you'll be influential. Because you're studious, you're caring, you're warm. I know you'll do great. Is that okay? And I thank you for the honor of giving me that responsibility to be part of your upbringing. And I'm promising that with the help of God, I'll be there for all of you. Is that okay? So congratulations.
On to the next person, Ibu family. No. The family of Mr. and Mrs. Shobari, please. Come forward to the company of the world.
privilege to be here this morning. It's nice and quite interesting actually to stand here to affirm Teju Boy. People of God, if anyone has told us that today we'll be standing here for Teju's rites of passage, we say no. Man proposes. God is hosts. God knows why all things work for good. Olateju Olaoluwa, Joseph Mifayo. Your name has spoken for you today, Alabi, as given by your paternal grandma, which connotes peace, and also Mifayo, a victor. Teju was born on the 13th of September 2009 at exactly 4:20. It was on a Sunday like this. In fact, when we were putting up this, and we remember what actually happened before Teju came up, it was indeed God. Because we got home from church service, we were about to prepare the lunch. I look at my wife, the way she was doing, the vibe she was giving. In fact, I had to quickly hit my key. I was just praying that, God, don't let this woman put to bed inside the car. I have to drive, in fact. But as God may have it, it took me about 20 minutes before I could drive to Hope Hill. Then they were at Zaria Road. Then within 30 minutes, Teju came up. We were so happy because the labor was so fast. Coming out was so easy. In fact, the doctor they were just looking at, wow, in fact, we were so lucky that you brought this woman here. So we're so happy. We thank God for Teju's life. You have kept that positivity by passing all your entrance examination, Teju, in flying colors. Even when we said, Teju, go and try these exams, the CBT exams, we were so surprised that Teju came out tops in all those exams. Teju, our super intelligent, energetic, and dramatic boy. You are such a positive person with a large dose of I can. Teju believes he can do everything. And every time we are showing you can, if you have Christ. You believe you want to be a pilot. Teju wants to be an engineer. He wants to be a scientist. And even severally will tell us, I want to be the president of Nigeria. Teju is very helpful and hardworking. Teju keeps the house running all the time. If you want to see the best out of Teju, just put Teju in charge of house chores. In fact, my boy will be sweating. He'll be so happy to do all these things. Teju also always helps to clean her mom's car. Most times when I come back from work in the evening, the first person that always opens the gate for me is Teju, and he will assume the role of this special marshal to, usher me to the car park lot. Teju, he helps the mom to clean the kitchen all the time, to put out the trash, and also, whenever there is a power failure in the house, Teju will be the first person to run to the generator. We want to put it on. Severally, we have to be begging Teju, please, don't go up to the changeover switch, because he wants to do everything. Teju, you are very relational. Your friend's birthday are so important to you that you always ask us to put a call through to them on those days. You always give an unreserved and touching apology when it dawned on you that you've offended anyone. Olateju Olaoluwa, Joseph, today is your day. Your journey on your way. We would love to remind you, Teju, that you were named Joseph as inspired by the Holy Spirit. Your name Joseph is in line with the three most popular Josephs in the Bible. Joseph, the son of Jacob, Joseph, the father of Jesus, and Joseph of Arimathea. Between these Josephs, we see virtues such as kindness, integrity, and willingness to serve their generation. Olateju Olaoluwa, Joseph. We see you particularly like Joseph, the son of Jacob, who was talented and favored. We urge you to follow on the footsteps of these men as you enter into the next phase of your life, Teju. Olaoluwa Olateju Joseph. Your future is filled with amazing possibilities, you know. Teju, choose your dreams. Embrace the opportunities. May God bless you with the blessing of the heaven above, Teju. Blessing of the deep that lies beneath, Teju. The blessing of the breast and of the womb. All I said, we want to tell you, be bold. Teju, be loud. Be everything that God wants us to be, Teju. And also want you to always remember that we will be there for you by His grace anytime you call. We love you, Teju. Thank you very much.
And Teju's mentor in the person of Pastor Wale Namza, please.
Morning once again. I think Teju needs to be the president of this country with everything that he has been doing and helping. Thank you. I think he needs to be the president of this country. You guys see him the way he is. One of the things the dad said that he's very relational. Lost his friend. Most times, you will have to chase them out of the toilet with Jesse, Toby, and Co. Okay? So, dear Teju, Olaolu Joseph, it is a great honor and privilege to stand before you and this congregation as your mentor, to let you know that you have been and always be a wonderful, cool, calm, and super intelligent boy. Your calmness and great smile has always drawn me and my wife to you. You love the company of your friends, JC, Toby, etc. So much that I had to always chase you guys out of the toilet several times. Because I always go to check everywhere, make sure they're in their classes. You guys always holding hands, hugging each other, sharing so much love, laughing. This community so much appreciates you guys and love you guys. TJ, as I always found it love to call you, I am reiterating my commitment to you, to love and to care for you, and to help you to become who God wants you to be, and the purpose for which He has brought you our way. We're gladly happy to have you. TJ, I implore you and I charge you to be bold, to be strong, be courageous, dream big, just like you said you want to be the president of this country. We all here in this community will help you to be that. Dream big, work hard, study hard, make friends, be confident, be a winner, and above all, be joyful and have fun all the days of your life. Go, buddy. The world is waiting for you. I'll always be here all the days of my life to love and to care for you, Daddy. Thank you so much and stay blessed.
Okay. So will the family of Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan please proceed?
This is Oshla Shalom Lina Jonathan. And I am Jonathan Umdadu Peter, the father of Oshla. Together with my wife, Mrs. Mary Jonathan Peter, the mother of Oshla. It's a pleasure. I actually wanted her to read the speech, but there's some things she really can't see, and that's why I decided to do that this morning. So it's been all the men that have been talking this morning, and I said, okay, I wanted a change, but I just have to do it now. Let it continue. Oshla Shalom Lina Jonathan, like her name is, Oshla means the grace of God. Oshla's coming to this war, I told my wife, I said, it can just be only the grace of God. If not, we might have lost her. Because when my wife was pregnant, 3 months when she was pregnant, I lost my mom. And I knew what happened the night she was finally giving up, when my dad called me. And that very night I turned and looked at my wife. She was struggling. And she was complaining of her tummy. I knew something was happening. So I didn't really tell her anything. I kept to myself till the morning. That happened. And it continued. 6 months after my mom's death, my dad too passed on. At that point, I was like, I hope this woman will be able to handle this. Because I went to her office to pick her that evening. I dropped my dad in the mortuary then. So she didn't know nothing. She was like, how is Papa? What's happening with him? I said, it's okay, he's in the ICU. And right under the seat she was seated was the cloth we wrapped him. So I said, okay, let me just go and see them. There were some things I brought. She should just be in the car because they won't allow her see him that evening. And I did that. I came back and met her. She was like, how is he? I said, it's okay. It's okay, let's go home. As I was going home, I was like, God help me. Let me just have the courage to tell this woman what happened. And at that point, she was close to her EDD, I mean. And I said, sweetheart, we're going home. She said, which home? I said, we're going to Papa's place. She said, okay. So I just drove straight. The moment we were reaching there, she saw people and I told her, I said, yes. I didn't want to tell you, but this is what happened. And I knew my wife. She was very close to my dad. They parlayed so much. So telling her that in the hospital or in the office, only God knows what will happen to the pregnancy. I told her I don't want to lose two. He's gone, and we need her. So I was thinking she would even be a boy. But when she came, a girl, I said, wow, Mama has come back. That was the story of Oshla. So Oshla's coming was just by the grace of God. And I was just seated few days after the burial. That was when her labor came. We went to the hospital at about 4:30 a.m. As we're reaching the hospital, The nurses were like, why did we delay? I said, no problem, they should not worry. She's okay. We went in, they took her straight to the labor room. I was seated outside. 5:30 a.m., I heard a cry, and I knew that was Oshla. And immediately I got the name Oshla. I have never heard of that name. That name came to me in the hospital that very morning. And that was how I named her Oshla. I was like, wow, this name is divine. And that is her name. Oshla Shalomlina Jonathan was born on the 11th day of August 2008 at about 5:30 a.m. Oshla was born some few days after her paternal granddad's burial. Oshla means grace. That is the grace of God. And she truly came by the grace of God. Oshla is the first child of Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Umdadu Peter. Oshla started her school at age 4 months, where she was in the daycare of KCIS. Then proceeded to Genesis, and from there to nursery 1 to 3, and also to primary 1 till she graduated now. She is such a lovely daughter and an elder sister to her younger brother, who she always loved and cared for. Oshla is a lover of children and will always want to carry any child around her. She derives joy in carrying children and playing with them. She is one girl who always wants to see her younger ones around her always happy and comfortable. Like the mother called her, small auntie. Oshla loves reading, she loves singing, and she acts drama, even alone in the room. Each time I'm in the sitting room, listening to news, I'll ask, where is Oshla? She will say, the younger brother will say, she's in the room. I'll say, what's she doing? She's acting drama. You're acting drama alone? She said, yes. I said, wow. So, okay. That is what she loves doing. And Oshla is such a very neat girl. She shows that in all through her primary school days. She was the neatest all through, and because of that, she loves keeping the house clean. She hates cockroaches, she hates rats and cobwebs. So that makes her keep the house clean always. Oshla said she wants to be a medical doctor when she grows up. She is 11 years old now and will be starting her JSS classes tomorrow. We wish Oshla the best in life and God's grace upon her as she starts another new phase in life. And may the grace that is upon KCP, which makes us unique from others, rest upon you, Oshla. Go shine the light to the world and be God's standard. Congratulations, Oshla.
Okay, we'll call on the mentor, Mrs. Rosemary Ukiwe.
when Oshla was in primary 2. She was in my class then. Oshla is a pretty and a brilliant girl whom I've known from birth. Just the story her father was giving, we were all there. Through the deaths and then the births. Okay, Oshla is a quiet and ever-smiling girl. A beautiful girl to be with. No dulling moments. She's also a sweetheart that is gentle with the younger children. Oshla likes taking care of the children. Oshla and Sheyi and Emmanuel are going to miss them in junior church. You know, they help me with the little ones, help me to take care of them. I pray for God's blessings and guidance on Oshla as she goes to secondary school. I pray that He will move you from one level to another with grace, just like your name is, and then with joy. We're going to miss you in junior church. We're going to miss you in KCIS. And then we're going to miss you January alarm. You know, when they go to secondary school, they come out, you know, they're teenagers, and then they act like big aunties. You know? But I'm sure they'll still help me with the children when they come around. So thank you for your help. Thank you for your love, Oshla, and may God bless you.
Let's keep good clapping. Will the family of Mr. and Mrs. Estefano rise up and proceed to the front in the presence of God? Let's keep clapping. On the altar transition.
Before me here is my beautiful, adorable, intelligent daughter, Jerusha. Her names are Jerusha Estefanus Yusuf. The name Jerusha comes from Jerusalem Shalom. The meaning of Jerusha is inheritance or to take possession. Jerusha is found in the book of 2 Kings 15:33. She is the daughter of Zadok and the mother of Jotham in the Bible. I gave birth to Jerusha on the 23rd of August 2008. Her expected date of delivery was supposed to be 3rd of September. But when I went to make my hair on the 28th of August, I started having a strange urge because she's my first daughter. I never knew what it means to be in labor. I went to the hospital straight and told the doctor I'm having fever. So when he said I should lie down for checkup, here Jerusha, I delivered her immediately. They asked me, Madam, have you been in labor since? I said no. They said you have a precipitated labor, you can easily deliver even in the market. Jerusha is very humble, obedient, and respectful. But that doesn't stop her from being naughty at times. She's always mindful of her words as a child. That makes her words very, very few. Always calm and likes eating, watching cartoons, and can be very, very serious with her studies. Her best moment is always in the kitchen. Jerusha is very, very neat. That makes her the neatest girl right from her genesis here in KCIS to her graduation in St. Pius Church School. She is always a mother to her younger ones I'm always confident when I leave Jerusha with her younger ones at home. Jerusha can be very emotional and apologizes easily when she is wrong. I see the qualities of a virtuous woman in her. Her dreams and ambition is to become a medical doctor, a teacher, as well as a farmer. Her father owns a piggery, and last month he lost 24 of the pig and the piglets due to this their illness, swan. The 25th one was almost dead. We were waiting for the 25th one to die so that the piggery can be fumigated. Jerusha took it upon herself. Every day she goes to the piggery to clean the house and to feed the pig. So we keep telling her, forget about that pig, it's going to die. So that we'll just clean the whole house. She now said that no, that is going to live. She came to me one day and told me, just last week, she said that she needs money for kerosene and oil to apply on the skin of the pig. We laugh, and to our greatest surprise, that pig is now the only one surviving in the piggery. She named the pig Miracle. So we always ask her, how is Mimi? She says, fine. I really appreciate God for your life, Jerusha. I love you so much. I really appreciate God for blessing me with a daughter like you. I'm ready to go through the burdens of this life in order to see you succeed and give you all the necessary support a child needs, academically, financially, morally, spiritually, to be tested for Christ, and even industrially to be a woman of yourself tomorrow. I will work tirelessly to ensure you become great in life. I present these verses of the Bible to you, my daughter, Jerusha. Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Isaiah 65:23. They shall not labor in vain, nor will they bear children doomed to misfortune. For there will be people blessed by the Lord, and their descendants with them. Deuteronomy 4:40. Therefore you shall keep his statutes and commandments, which I command you this day, that it may go well with you and your children after you, and that you may prolong your days in the land that the Lord God gives you forever. My prayers for you, Jerusha. Lord Jesus, and thank you for the gift of Jerusha. I present her before you because I have believed in you. You have saved me. Lord Jesus, I believe you will save my daughter Jerusha. Please reveal yourself to Jerusha, my daughter, and fill her with your great peace and your Holy Spirit, and make her alive to the sweet things of you, Jesus Christ. God, I thank you for your word. God, I thank you because you have helped me to walk in integrity. According to your words, the book of Proverbs 27, you promised that if I do this, you will bless my children. I ask you, Lord, please bless my daughter. I cause her to fear you, deliver her from temptation and sin, and give her the fear in her heart to obey your words and walk in the wording of your gospel all her lives. Complete this work by making her fruitful for you until she departs this sinful world. For in Jesus' name I have prayed for you. I send you forth to secondary school in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Mentor Mrs. Joy Agada, please.
Jerusha,
surprise to me when you walked up to me and said you wanted me to be your mentor. I was really shocked. The little I know about Jerusha, she's a very quiet girl. You barely hear her talk. You always see her with her younger ones. They come to church together, she takes care of them. She's very, very polite. Like her mom said, she's quick to apologize. I just want you to know that you have an inheritance with Christ, just as your name implies. And this new phase of your life that you're going to, you have never been there before, but there are good people around you that have passed through that phase. So remember all that you have been taught here in church and also from your parents. We all love you, know that you have a family that loves you, and most of all, God loves you. I promise to do my part as your mentor. You have told me to hold you accountable, to be focused in your education. I'll do my part with the grace of God, and thank you for honoring me to be your mentor. I love you.
Okay, that's it for the people who are transiting from elementary school to high school. So, last but not the least, we have someone who is transiting from high school to the tertiary institution. So, will the family of Mr. and Mrs. Stephen please rise? February 14th. Sheikh, as you are known, Sheikh, as everyone fondly calls you, you are crowned up to be such a wonderful young man, smart, handsome like your mom, and fair. I look at you and I see so much years of care. Just like we were born on February 14th, loved you. So many years of care and love in the way you deal with others around you. The way you rise up to the occasion to care for me and your sister, Stephanie. It gladdens me. I thank God for giving me the opportunity to be your mother. A job I would gladly take again and again and again. I can't ask for a better son. Truly, God doesn't make mistakes. He knew all along what we needed and blessed us with you, shares. There are no enough words to describe what you mean to us, most especially me, Trinio, as you always call me, Trinio. I have two elder sisters. When we are around them, you call this one mommy, mommy, all of us will answer. So he decided to call my elder sister mommy 1, and the one I'm next to mommy 2, and I'm mommy 3. So we are fondly called like that. Everybody that knows our family calls me mommy 3, mommy 3. And if it is mommy 1, they call mommy 1. And he specially calls me Trinio. I'm happy, and I know that I'm happy you know that. But no, Know that on your way, on your darkest days, because they will come, we will be there to hold you. We will be there to hold your hand. On your rainy days, we will be a shelter for you. When you trip and fall, we will pull you up. We love you, but also don't forget God loves you more than He gave you all that you will ever love. Never trade Him for another, and He will not trade you for another. We love you more than you know, and proud of you, my moonlight, as I call you. Pastor Shirley will be represented by Mr. Zimba Lam.
Good morning, church. Stephen, I'm here to represent my friend, Pastor Shirley. And you know that when you send somebody, he becomes a messenger, right? I may not be able to relate the message accurately, but I know a lot about you. We've shared so much with him, you know, and when he called me yesterday and said I should represent him, I said, well, Stephen is somebody I know, at least to a large extent, and I don't want to say much here, but I know we're going to meet to talk before you leave. The little I have to share with you here is just to tell you that as you go out there, you're going to meet a lot of pressure, because the tertiary institution is a place where you meet all kinds of people with different kinds of mindset. But I'm confident with the fact that what you have been taught here, you know, the way you have been cultured in KCP, you know, I can assure you that you will be able to stand the test of time. And with the grace of God that is upon you, you know, you will surely overcome, because His grace is sufficient for you. Okay? And I also want you to know that today somebody is mentoring you, but you have a responsibility to mentor so many others here. So what do you do with your life for you to be qualified to be a mentor to someone? You should have that at the back of your mind. Okay? Thank you so much. God bless you. And my prayer is that, you know, whatever it is that you have in mind, commit it in God's hands, because the Bible says that whatever you commit into God's hands, He's able to keep it. And if God can keep you, then nothing will happen to you. God bless you. Thank you so much. The song we sang this morning talks about, it says what? That all that you needed, His hands has provided. That's a word for you. Okay? So don't worry, just be focused on your studies. That's what took you there, so be focused. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Please, let's all clap again for me. How will you celebrate today? God, let me ask, Manuel, you look speechless. What's wrong? How do you feel? Okay. How do you feel? How do you feel?
President of Nigeria.
How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? Big man. Okay. Voice of Honor is a special song for you, so just sit back, relax, and let it speak to you. So, Voice of Honor.
That is precious girl, a treasure he'll live for. Mom is special boy, her pride, her life, her joy. A glimpse into their eyes makes them realize the wonder that is life in a world of so much strife. Our lives are unending stories, flipping pages, unfolding endless seasons. But your love is never ending, a treasure in my heart, the lamp that guides my feet, as the pages of my life forever fleets. See him toy, he's back to school. See her ride her bicycle. See the tears in their eyes, the pain they try to hide. Watching them live home makes them realize the wonder of holding on while somehow letting go. Our lives are unending stories, flipping pages, unfolding endless seasons. But your love is never ending, a treasure
that song, it's actually homegrown. That song was written last transition season by Voice of One. We're still, working on it, and very soon it will hit the streets so that everyone can benefit. Let me start by congratulating the whole family that are, seeing this phase of their, their children's life. Emmanuel, Sheyi, TJ, Osla, Jerusha, right? Exactly. Yeah. And Moses, I didn't know your checks. I only know your Moses. Right. Congratulations, guys, and I'm so delighted. I'm highly fulfilled also because I can see some faces here that I didn't name. I still remember, very vividly the day she was named. That was the day I bought my first HP laptop. And TJ, Oshla, yeah, I remember that big party too in Rockhaven. There was a massive party in Rockhaven, and it was such a very sweet time because we're just getting out of the passing of Ombugadu's dad. And for the rest of you here, I think I've known you all your lives. And that's Assistant Mom, I know. I'm always struggling with Moyo for the husband. I just want to, give us some kind of insight into what we are doing, so that we can be more deliberate about it, so that we can be more intentional about it. Because to create culture is a bit challenging, especially in a time when the church knows next to nothing, about culture. There are many scriptures flying through my head as I kind of prepare to just sort of introduce to you, further reinforce what we are doing so that we can actually do it and have what we call in academics the well-defined learning outcomes. That we know exactly that what we are doing is not just an event. It's a process with a particular defined end in mind. It's in the book of Luke. Please turn there, Luke chapter 2. Mary, was going to have Jesus. Jesus was going to come on the scene. There's something very dramatic, very profound, that preceded that. And the scripture says there that in the year that this was going to happen, a decree went out, right? From Caesar, right? Augustus. That what? That the whole world, right? The details, the biodata of the whole world should be captured. That the whole world need to have a database. Why? Because the one who is going to give meaning to it all is about to come on the scene. Somebody that's going to give meaning to every human. When John declared who Jesus was, he said he's the one who lights every man, right? That comes. So what preceded Jesus was like a compilation of a database. Biometrics were taken. Details of people's life, date of birth, where they were born, and the whole world, right? Because the one that we're going to queue behind, that's going to give meaning to each and every one of us is just. So if you miss out, if your name is not there, right, then you are out of it. So that was not just a census code, it has some prophetic essence. You see, my favorite course, in my graduate school is church history. And the reason why I love that course is because of the way it was taught in my own university. It's not called church history, but the story of Christianity. And when you look at it from that standpoint, it basically tells the story of God. Right? And in that course, we are supposed to see that story continue until the story that began with God, you see yourself grafted into the story. That is why most books in the Bible never had a conclusion. It creates room for you and I, right, to be grafted into God's story. That's why someone, I've forgotten the name, they said history It's actually his story. History is someone's story. It is his story. And God has so structured it in such a way that his story is never complete. If you read the book of Hebrews, if you read the book of Acts, they were open-ended. Right? They were all open-ended to create room for you and I. So you see, life should be lived from a historical, this microphone is not working well, from a historical perspective. Life should be lived with this understanding that you are not all by yourself, but that you are part of a story. And that's the reason why, can this be fixed? I should use this. It's because I don't trust, I have more faith in this. Because the technology of this is easier than this. So I should use this. You are sure? You bet with your life. Okay. Kokwala, you back it up with your integrity? Alright. So these are the things that people like David had an understanding of. In the book of Psalms, Psalm 139, it's a psalm that I always love to read on our transition Sundays. In verse 16, please just put it up there. 1:16. Who has seen it? Read it for me. Psalm 139, verse 16.
Your eyes saw my substance, being yet
conformed. Yeah.
And in your book,
they were all chronicled.
The day is fashioned for me when
there was none of them. Thank you very much. He said in your book, he said life, is supposed to be lived and scripted. Maybe I'll put it this way. The life you are living should be scripted. It should be a design. The life you are living is supposed to have ended, and then you start it. It has a certainty that is heading somewhere. Life is not a happenstance. It's not a chance thing. It's not a conspiracy. It's a well thought out. It's supposed to be a well thought out experience. Now, if the story of our lives are written in the book, that's why I always teach it here, that when you read the Bible, it's good to believe that the Bible is the Word of God. Right? It's also good to believe that what God said in the Bible can come to pass. Ultimately, belief, faith is you knowing that the Bible is the Word of God, it can come to pass, but ultimately you should believe that it can come to pass through you. That you have a part to play. God set up a stage, it's a stage of drama, maybe like when Joshua is acting alone in a room, right? And you have a role, you are a character. You have a role to play, and you know that you don't just determine how you act a role in a drama. It must be according to what? According to the script. God has a script for our lives. And you see that script, like that song said, comes in pages. A particular page is about just flipping in the lives of these kids. At their parents. To what extent are we aware of that? So what we are doing today is a culmination of a long process. And this process continues even after today. So as a church, we are on a quest, and that's what I want you guys to agree with me on. We are on a quest of creating culture. There is a particular way to live. God has an arrangement for how human life ought to be lived. If we live by God's prescription, believers are supposed to be on this earth different. As the world is expressing surprises about what's happening, believers should not be surprised. Why? Jesus said simply, I'm going to send the Holy Spirit. He will guide you into all truth. He will also do what? Tell you things to come.
When believers ask some questions, I shudder. I'm worried. We are not supposed to be beings of surprise. God is surprised when you are surprised. And see, we need to be reminded of this. Until the gospel we preach becomes culture, we have not preached the gospel. Until it defines a particular way of life and living, we have not preached the gospel. Jesus called himself the life, the way, the truth. Right? I'm taking it from the end. The life, the way, the truth. He said truth first because, you see, truth means reality. A lot of people don't live in reality because the principles, the values, the precepts that guide your life, you don't know the source. You don't know where it's coming from. You are just copycats. You can't tell the story of why you dress the way you dress. Why you take maybe your ward to the school, why you take them to. Why you are the way you are. You are supposed to be part of a story that's been told. We often want to do Christianity and then be someone else. That's not possible. We have to be Christians, right? And then we demonstrate that particular lifestyle that kind of conforms with that. So we need to understand, guys, that the world that these kids were raised in, we could pass. The Gandhi said in our day, we didn't even know all these kind of things. You see, we don't have to be told because they were done. Our parents were wiser. They were done. It wasn't something this ceremony, and it was woven into the very life. But now we are in an unlearning, a relearning kind of process because there are some things we forgot. Even our parents who are closer to colonial masters than us, they were more deep colonized, right? Than us who didn't even see a white man govern our land. I told you many of us, my dad was born in 1915, I was born in 1963. Look at the gap. I was born in 1963, my first daughter was born in 1987, which is closer. My daughter, but you see many times in our generation we are farther from them than even our parents who are qualified to be our great-grandparents. The firstborn of our family is like my dad. Right? It was born in 1947. He was already a fool. In fact, he paid my school fees from Form 1 to 5. That's my elder brother. He was already a medical doctor when I was 4. No, he wasn't a medical doctor. Yeah. No, but he was already earning salary when I was in high school. He was already a doctor. In fact, he finished school start in 1964. Right? And I was born in 1963. The school when he did his school start, they were not offering science. Science hasn't come. And he still graduated as a medical doctor. He had to go to a grammar school to study science for 2 years. You see, it's a curse to say the old is better. It is the irresponsibility of the present. There's something we are losing, especially in church. We don't know the cultural content of the gospel. So people embrace the gospel and it doesn't define for them any particular way of life and living. That's a false gospel. There's a well-crafted agenda out there in the world. There's an anonymous quote that says that this young generation of today, they are only capable of doing evil. Yeah.
But see, if no one is born to be evil, it's learned. No one is born to be good, is also learned. And you see, we need to pick up this basic trait of being a believer. We need to be discerning. The world we live in, it's a culture-creating world. One basic trait of it is they are devaluing parenting. They are devaluing parenting. And when they devalue, they go for the source. They go for the male gender. Isaiah saw it ages ago in Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12. He said, "This is judgment as for my people." Women, somebody are with me. A lot of people are going to, hit me on this because of the culture of the world. As for my people, Isaiah 3:12, children are their oppressors, women rule over them. And if that's the case, those who lead you will cause you to err and destroy the way of your path. That doesn't devalue woman in any way. It basically saying that it is a hoary structure. I was talking to, this my host on this my recent trip to Zambia. They invited me for lunch in their home, right? And when we got there, maybe for dinner, by the time they prepared it, there's another woman there who's from ECOWAS, a missionary in Zambia. So she actually came, prepared some egusi soup. She said, I know, he calls me Papa. I said, I know, Papa, you have missed some pepper. You don't put pepper here. So I actually prepared this. I said, thank you very much. Honestly, I have become pepperless. There's no pepper in my blood again for this last 5 days. And something happened. When they finished preparing the food, this woman came and knelt down before the husband to invite all of us to the table. I was feeling very uncomfortable. But again, I just have to tell myself, this is their culture. If I look at this from what I call my ill-informed civilization, I would say they are enslaving this woman. But this is what gives this woman honor. Right? This is what gives her honor. If I look at it from a Western orientation that I've come to embrace with my stupidity, right? I will see that as devaluing the woman. But that's where that woman sees that she's not. That's how she reminds herself of self-respect. So I keep telling everybody everywhere I go in the last 2 months, where we need to be as church is an active decolonization. Am I saying Lara should kneel for what we did this afternoon by the time you prepare on the It's left for you. It's left for you. You see, there is an intentional devaluing of parenting. If you look at many adverts, in fact, there's a particular one that I saw recently on the flight on Ethiopian Airlines. Those are the kind of things I see. They've now put safety, this thing is now in terms of drama. They act it out. So they want to say, this flight, there's no smoking. This flight, this is how to, to actually do your seatbelt. This is how they do it. The father will be fiddling with the seatbelt, the son will not correct him. Right? Yeah. The father won't know how to do it. So the son will correct. The father will put a stick of cigarette in his mouth. The daughter will say, it's deliberate. You think it's just an advert. It is deliberate. Children are their leaders. They are saying parents no longer don't know how to lead. You think it's just something. You see, the primary assignment of parents is to create culture for these ones. But where is the source of that culture? Who inspired it? conforming for church, for believers, is a treasonable offense. I shall with a group of people. We need to understand the world that we live in. Where is the culture of female nudity coming from? I'll tell you. Almost all of fashion designers who design female clothes are men. Men love naked women. And that's what they create. Don't just get into something, right, if you don't know the source. It is men, go and check it. It's men that design clothes for women. And they design what they want to see. Who are they? They are ungodly people. This is the mind. Culture, KCP is a culture creating church. We don't have rules here. We have values. You are in school. You are below 25. No relationship. It's a way of life. It's a way of life. It's a value system. Don't think of relationship leading to marriage while you are still in school. You are below 25, except you want to marry. Who told you long courtship translates to good marriage? That's a whole battle we are fighting right now. And I said, where did you learn that from? Primary 4, straight to secondary school. That is schooling, not education. That's not education. There's a big difference between schooling, right, and education. There are instances where the child might be exceptionally, but that's schooling. Because education is beyond academic. It has the emotional part. It has the social part. There is much more than grades. And then you want to ask yourself, why the heart? Who is in the race with you? I remember a guy, he was my roommate in Unilag. One day I saw this guy, he wore his underpants and it has a hole in it. I said, why did that happen? He said, the washing machine. Did you bring washing machine to school? He said, no. I didn't know the parents come to pick his laundry every weekend. Yeah. They come to in the university. Two stories. That's another one. In fact, the father is a notable author in those days. He brought the boy into our room and the boy was brought into a gang of men. Because my room was a den. The worst of the boys in the school stayed in that room. You 109, I cannot do that. And the brother said, please help me take care of this boy. He's a very young boy. He doesn't know anything. And all this. I was like, okay, he's fine. So when we want to go out on our own, hey, stay here. Daddy said we must stay. The guy refused. Don't go anywhere. The only time we allow the boy to go is very short to go and play basketball. One day we were cleaning our room. General cleaning. Turned the whole room upside down. When we saw underneath the bed of this guy, bottles of Gouda, packs of Rothmans, and all manner of, things that are acceptable in the room. The parents don't know him. I said, it's a small boy. I said, so why don't you follow that? You guys want me to follow you now? I have to. I just live my life. They don't know. I was the guy in the choir. I mentioned his name, many of you there know. So the mom was talking. He said by that time he has slept with at least 4 or 5 girls when the mom was teaching him about virginity. Somebody that many of us know. You see, if we don't do it intentionally, culture is not created by chance. It's created intentionally. And I know because this is not the way many churches are wired. We, even here, we still struggle with it. For us, this is just a Sunday, a transition Sunday. It is. Honestly, it's more than that. You are called to be a mentor. Do you know what that is? Growing up in our own very, wild way with that. If I call you bros, it has a cost to, right? If I call you bros, if you go out, you spend the money, right? Somebody is calling you mentor. Do you know what that is? How do we create memories for these children? How do we make this kind of phase in their lives really significant, really profound? How much do they know? That's what we are trying to do. We are preparing them for that next phase so that when they get there are little or no surprises. Are there, these ones going to secondary school, some of them going to boarding school, some of us, their parents, uncles, aunties, they've been there before. What stories are we telling them? If they get there and they get surprised and get blown away, we have failed. When my sister was telling the story of her delivery, reminding of what my mom told my wife, right? That don't listen, labor is painful. Pentecostals say you will deliver like the Hebrew women, right? They said you just wake up and see the child by your side. My mom told her, labor pain is painful, get ready. How can a woman get that she almost delivered in the market? Somebody nearly had a car, put to car. They said put to bed. You can't put to bed in the car, you put to car. You put to bed in the room with the bed. Okay, you put to car seat. You see, these things are critical. Whatever, there's a story of a lady that won Miss World. And he said, how did you feel walking down that aisle to get crowns? I felt nothing because I've walked that aisle many times. I have walked that aisle many times because our mentors have told her, prepared, that aisle belongs to you. In her mind, she's walked down that aisle many times, so she felt nothing. Winning Miss World can't get into her head. She saw it as an entitlement. I fit the bill. I deserve it. I'm pretty. I was pretty like a monk. Oh my women. So David said that you don't live life in a modern way. He didn't say, God, teach me to number my months. Teach me to number my years. He said what? Teach me to number my days. Right? Even if you're going to flip the pages, you flip it page by page. Life comes in seasons. How intentional are we preparing our kids for the next phase in life? I went to speak with the education ministry of the guys in Capro, and I was telling them, education has gone beyond the classroom. The world is now the classroom. The world is the classroom. Whatever subject that you are teaching, how can a child come? How can a boy shouldn't be surprised of her first wet dream? He must know what it means. A girl shouldn't be surprised that her cycle has started. She must be expecting it, prepared. She must have walked that road, right? Many times. Many times. If there's a generation that their children should be the best, I think it's mine. Because for me, for our generation, we started the world we started living so early. You see 30-year-old now, they don't know how to drive. They become my father. All my friends learn to drive with my father's car. Your father doesn't need a car for you to learn how to drive. Your father's friend has. That's it. That's our car. We'll drive that car to about 50. Don't be afraid. Scott will use your car to teach all his friends. What you can do about it? We'll drive the car about 50 meters from the house, we'll switch off the engine, and we'll push it. And we push it. The steps of the righteous, not the sprints. But as a generation after mine, right? At the current young parents, they actually use their kids to show up their lives. They send them to schools that give them respect. Right? They make them read courses that, that give them respect. I am the father of a medical doctor. That's an idiot. What does a child want to do? There's something we're promoting, functional education, that takes into account the basic uniqueness of the child. Right? I said, why are you in child? They don't give exams to children until they reach the age of, their teenage years. You don't evaluate them by exam until they reach teenage years. Exam is not, it's not the most accurate way. What if the best student in class falls sick during the exam? Will you ask the child to repeat? And there's something called exam fever, right? You just get to the exam and everything just disappears. Right? All the continuous assessment we are doing, we just copy from the English. It's not affecting us. It's my days, not months, not years. We are fashioned from it. Both evil and good are learned behaviors. It requires intentional life and living to turn out good. It requires intentional training to also turn out evil. It's training. What are we telling these kids after all this while? What will they remember? Daily when there is asking them, how do you feel? How do you feel? What are you thinking about? What's going on here? I will have asked them to open these gifts. What's there? Are they consumables? Or are they something else? Are they things that will be there for years to come? The scriptures you read for your child, frame them. Put it in her room. Put it in a little bookmark for her to put it. That's the way the Deuteronomy said we should teach our kids. Don't just read. She didn't hear. She didn't hear right now. She will hear with time. Put it as a bookmark. Frame it in her room instead of a selfie. Transition moments are critical moments of life. It's very much like a birth moment. It's like the baby's head is in the birth canal. Nothing must go wrong at that critical time. Everything must work right. You know it if you're in the labor ward. All hands must be on deck. You can't say we can go on, we don't have enough nurses, but that's the way we are. They say, here, they actually do surgery, we can't do that. As how they sew up some scissors inside somebody's belly. What are we seeking with this ritual? We are preparing ourselves, both parents and words and the whole church, for that next phase of life. Some of them have not been parents of the secondary school person before. Right? Yeah. And if you've been, what did you learn from the first one? What did you learn from Oyinda? What stage you're going to benefit from your experiences with Oyinda? He must be better because of the things that we learned sending her to boarding school. Those who will live full must never be strangers to any phase of life. Because some mentor, father, mother, uncle, auntie has been through that phase. Years ago, I was teaching some youth couples, and I asked them, how many of you did your parents actually, they sat you down and they spoke to you about sex? Out of about 600, maybe 12. I say, okay, how many of you are totally ignorant about sex? Nobody lifted their hands. How did you learn it? The bold ones say, well, I read this book, I read that book, I listened to friends. You know, the bold ones there say, well, we just experimented. Yeah. And that's why people run into brick walls. I've told you the 4-14 window. Whatever a child won't learn between the age of 4 and 14, it's going to be extremely difficult, even to impossible to learn it. Why am I talking this way? I'm challenging you, KCP. Let's come to the same page. Let's do it with high degree of intention. Somebody is going to get married. What is it that he or she needs to learn? Because many go there based on what happened to a friend, what happened to auntie, or maybe what happened to parents. Right? What is it that a man today that is going to be married to, what is it that we need to tell that person? The 30 plus years of me being a husband, what is it that that person can draw from it? The 30 plus years of her being a wife, what is it that those young girls can learn from it? Our marriage counseling is not just a team of my wife and Collins and Nazareth. It's the whole community. My idea is a young girl is going to marry. There must be a night when all the women gather around her and they give her tips from their own experiences. I saw it years ago in Zambia. I was blown away. I said, I will practice this in my church. I said, what are they going to say to the old women? Many generations, they sat the girl down and they were teaching her, right, the technology of the bedroom. You know the first thing they spoke about? Hygiene. Not foreplay. Hygiene. If we taught that girl hygiene all her life, she won't be attracted to the guy who doesn't wash his boxers. Right? The first thing is, you come and talk to me, go and wash your boxers, boy. Wash your boxers! The guy will get born again. But there's no gospel as potent as that. We'll tell his friend, the guy says, I should go and wash my boxers. It's in the Bible. You want to come to me, God? Go and wash your clothes. Go and wash your clothes. How much are we getting what God is doing here? Those who have gone ahead, make yourselves available for those coming behind. Let them learn. Not just, don't gloat over your successes. Right? Also be open with your failures. That's how it's done. The things you did and you didn't do right, talk about it. And I just repeat those days where all parents come first in class. No, let us repeat it. When you hear celebration of life, your mind goes to death. This is celebration of life. Right? Yes. It's not about death. Because humans were not designed to die. Your setbacks, your failures, your triumphs, be open with it. That's why I always told you, I got saved. You know, I got married, I proposed to my wife, I wasn't a born again Christian, I don't know how to receive. Boy, see, fine girl, right? I said, okay, this is the one I'm going to, or maybe girl, see, fine boy. But you know it's true. Girl, see, swag, right? And she was slim. Oh no, never let go. You know, we can't do this just as a Sunday affair. right? And the procedure that led to this is the real thing, is the real life. Today is just a ceremony to put a face to reinforce the truth. That's why I told you that this gift number one must be expensive, right? It must set you back. It must be at a great cost. It mustn't be a consumer. It must not be a cloth that fades. So if what you have given fit those kind of bills, change it. It must be something they can keep as a memento forever. They tell their children, you know what this is? When I was going to high school, my parents bought me this. Maybe at that time they are using it to explain why they just did that also to their own kids, right? I will have shown you a video, a movie clip from that movie Courageous, when that man took the daughter for dinner. It was the most expensive restaurant in town. Took that young girl for dinner. And the girl said, Dad, why do you have to do this? He said, because that is what I need to do. And the father brought a ring for the girl. I said, I'm going to give you this ring until the man that's coming to marry you exchange it for the one you want to do. So you're going to make that commitment, you're going to make to him, you're going to make it to me first. So that I can tell that boy what you are bargaining. That's what I told my son. Do you know why you like what you saw? It's what I fed her with. Don't change the diet. If you change the diet, she will change. The only thing she's ever known in her life is for qualified, unconditional acceptance. Love without borders, right? If you change it, if you give her conditions, the outcome too will be different. Honestly, I won't be there. I had a friend, he's a preacher like me, and that's what Williams said. I had a very terrible upbringing. So when now that I'm grown, I don't want to have a son like myself. I don't want to marry a wife like my mother. I don't want to be a father like my father. So he had a very terrible upbringing. His son, and he had 2 boys. 2 boys. Don't hide your failures. Don't gloat over your successes. Life has a design. The challenge. There are forces out there masquerading as a design. Men are trying to rule the world that God made. Guaranteed only one option. They will fail. So the question you need to ask yourself, ask myself, ask ourselves is, who is shaping us? What is shaping us? Are we creating culture as designed and inspired by God? Or are we conforming to the culture as designed by the world? This is the question we need to ask ourselves. When you come here, the gospel we preach is the gospel that produces a culture. When I started a campus fellowship here in University of Jos called G-Force, one of the things we said was that we don't want to be known on this campus with our CGPs alone. Right? That's given. Right? But we also want to take over socially, politically, right? Culturally. Now when you have a high CGP, they say, are you in G-Force? If you are not in G-Force and you have a high CGP, you must be, you must be a reception. That was the design. I don't know any other gospel, guys, that does not produce a culture. KCP is a culture-creating church. By the time we grow in this, we are going to have it at age 4, our kids must have known this. Right? At age 6, they must have known this. At age 8, they must have known this. At age 10, they must have known this. I mean, you see, we are not going to have a world that is going to be accepting of God's ways. Is always going to be in the midst of a conflict. I told the story of my friends in the US who drove me to their children's school. Teenagers drove me to the car park of teenagers. They had their own cars. And this family could afford it. Their kids are one of the few who come to school by school bus. Right? So we have to make them that way. It's a very unique family. Because they have 2 14-year-olds and they are not twins. Yeah, very unique. They were delayed in childbirth and they planned to go adopt. Right? When they signed the paper for the adoption, because they signed the paper of the adoption while the baby they wanted to adopt was still in the womb. Right? And the woman who was going to give up her child for adoption was praying, I love this family, but I don't want my child, my biological child, to be an only child. That family conceived that same. So they have 2 14-year-olds. I remember the day they drove me to the house and said, they were asking me, how is it in Africa? Who is the 14-year-old girl in Africa? I said, he's still with the mom and dad. He's still a child. No relationship. No prom. No, and they look back at those girls. Did you hear that? Because at that age, they already declared freedom. See, civilization began in Africa. And like I said this week, the world is walking with a limp because Africa is missing. You know, by getting westernized, and we think it's civilization. Right? I don't care how civilized you are. If you eat pounded yam with fork and knife, it's an insult to pounded yam. And honestly, you don't know the value. And when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is it. How can you put iron to pounded yam? To eat pounded yam with fork and knife, back here. So guys, those are the key words in this place. We want to be authentic, we want to be original, we want to be orthodox, we want to be biblical, we want to be contemporary, we want to be ancient. Somebody says an ancient practice. Yes, ancient is not past tense. Ancient is not what is no longer relevant. Parenting is a massive challenge today. Because kids, they now know more than their parents. It's because the world is propelling them. The father will leave the seatbelt and as a child will correct. You want to smoke in the plane, the daughter will say, that's from hell. That's from hell. Original, they said, before you put on your own mask, before you help your child, right, put on your own mask so that you can be positioned to serve your child. Maybe it's the child that will be telling the father, put on your mask. Or maybe we put our own first on his own and then help the father. He started on a very subtle note, right? And the attack is really on the male gender. The upside of all this female, this gender debate is because you've not read the Bible. There has never been any case of gender inequality. Let me close with something my daughter told me on this trip. She works with a bank in England and she said, there's only one reason why they employ a black person. It's not because you're good. Because they want to reach out to black people. Right? Yeah. The reason they were employing Chinese because they want to make a foreign in the Chinese market. It's not because they want to. So, but there's a group of us saying that, no, appraise me the way you appraise any other kind of person. Any other kind of person. This is a globalized world. I can learn the Chinese language. That's even more profound. When a non-Chinese speaks Chinese to you. Right? Don't employ me based on sentiment. It is still slavery. Right? It's still slavery. And that's why I wrote that very confusing thing this week. The only cure to racism is what? Informed ignorance. Let me break it down for you because this is hope. The only cure to racism is to ignore it. This ones must never feel racially abused. I told Romelu Lukaku when they abused him, I said, I tried to make a monkey sound at people. Maybe because, and that's because I'm not a monkey. Those who make monkey sounds, those who know how to make it are the monkey, right? I tried to make a monkey sound, I couldn't. The only way to cure racism is to ignore it. What's fueling it is reaction. No. And you know it if you go to Borden House, if they give you a bad nickname, how does it stick? When you react. If you laugh it off, people forget it. Racism is still being fueled. Look at what they did to us. Look at what they are doing to us. Ignore it. Develop yourself. Hone your skill. Come to the table with something. This is what they must do. Nothing will be given to you because you are female. Right? Nothing will be given to you because you are male. Nobody deserves benefit. You have to work for it. And I know that with my own background. All my sisters always come first in class. And the boys beat them up for coming first. So let them do the beating. You do the coming first, right? And now be wise when you close from school, run. Right? You keep beating them. Don't get into those kind of debates. It's to destroy humanity. Don't come to life because of your gender. Don't come to life. Don't come to life because you are black or white. There's no black man. There's no white man. It's a lie. Never seen any man who has this color. Never seen one? No. Even the Southern Sudanese is not black. This is black. This is your hair. Never seen any human being like that. No. Have you seen a black man before? Huh? No. The blackest person, the darkest person in this place is Moses. Look at the difference between him and his hair. It's like albino when you compare him and the hair. True? There's no black man. Where did you get the issue of, the black sheep of the family? We should remove it from our vocabulary. This something is a white lie. A lie is a lie, regardless of the color. I can go on and on and on. It's just to let us know that this is not a problem. This is a process. We must have learning outcomes. Then I know why you should dream. Who is she in life for 15 years? I like you want to be a pilot. Yeah, because this nation is on a flight. Right? And it's a hijacked plane. And the hijackers are the pilots. When the hijacker is the pilot, you don't have any case. The hijackers are the pilot and the crew. So we need a new pilot, right? Please be a pilot. Do it. And the younger you are, the better. Right? Shall we rise up this morning, getting into afternoon? As we commit this, guys, please come. Come here, guys. Emmanuel, Sheyi, Jeju, Oshla, Jerusha, and Moses. Come. I want you to go on your knees and let's pray. You know the reason we kneel down when we pray? Kneeling is a sign of submission. It's not punishment. It's a sign of submission. You submit because someone of authority over you wants to speak. Right? And that's God. These are your parents. The parents can please come and stay behind them. And the mentors come please and stay behind the parents. As we stay behind this place, we are saying something to God where they are back. that we will never get to a point where we depend on them. They will perpetually depend on us. We will never get to a point where we feed off them. They will feed off us. And that means that God is going to so resource you. God is going to so bless you with stuff, with wisdom, with health, with long life, that you will carry their children. Some of you you do school runs for their children. By the time you are rested from daily labor and money begins to work for you, it's a delight that you want to serve them for the rest of your life. That's what it means by staying behind them. You are their back. Lord, behold the structure. That we are not just kneeling, we are not just standing. No, we are before you. That these ones, it is written of them, these, they are numbered among those who are born in Zion. That Father, what we are doing for them, on their behalf, today, culminating those times of teaching, of orientation, spending time, maybe doing sleepovers with their mentors. Father, I pray, the real meaning of those things, Lord, that which can be mentioned in words, that which can only be revealed by you, Lord, you will impress it upon their hearts. That the upbringing of this one will be that step by step, because the steps of a righteous man, they are ordered by you. Lord, we make pronouncement upon these ones. Their lives are ordered. Amen. Their careers are ordered. Amen. Their professions are ordered. Amen. Lord, we bind them to your will. Lord, we create an inseparable cord between your will and their lives in the name of Jesus Christ. Nothing snatch them out of your hands, O God. They are held, O God, in the hollow of your hands. Nothing takes them out. The world cannot explain them away. The world will not intimidate them. The world will not talk them out of you. They will talk the world into you. In the name of Jesus Christ. When the whole world is talking about peer pressure, they will say, yes, we believe in peer pressure. We are the pressure of our peers. So shall it be in the name of Jesus Christ. The voice of strangers they will not hear. Their voices will thunder over the waters because they will be your echo in the name of Jesus Christ. They're going to different phases of life. Moses is going to tertiary, the rest are going to high school. Lord, go before them. Make every crooked place straight. I pray for this parents today, O God, and all that they need, Lord, to be your dependable ally. To be, oh God, your hand, your feet, your tongue, your eyes, oh God, over these kids. Spiritually, materially, financially, health-wise, all that they need, Lord, to be there when you call. Lord, we release upon them today. Amen. Tune their hearts, oh God, to this culture-creating vibes. The cultures of this world, Lord, they will not buy into it. The copycat spirit that is sweeping homes out there, Lord, we accept this one. Like a frequency on the radio, God, Lord, we tune them to you. And we keep it locked in the name of Jesus Christ. When they speak over these children, it will not be their words. When they plan for these kids, Lord, it will not be their plans. Give them the grace, Lord, to live that exemplary life. That exemplary life. That these boys will grow, they will say, I want to marry a wife like my mother. That these girls will grow, they say, I want a husband like my father. That I want my children to be like me. I want to raise kids who are raised just like me. That they will worship the God I want because I worship my parents' God. And see what I've become. This life is big. The plans in their hearts, Father Lord, you see it. Some out of childishness, some out of infatuation, some because they see mom, dad, uncle, auntie But Lord, you know, you respect, oh God, the sincerity of the heart of the child. But Lord, you know where you are taking them. Lord, where you are not taking them, they will not go. It is where you are taking them. You said we should delight ourselves in you. And then you will grant the desires of our hearts. Lord, we put upon these kids today, these children today, grace. Grace, Lord, to continually delight themselves in you. So that the thoughts of their minds, Lord, will be the thoughts of your heart. In the name of Jesus. Lord, we pray for KCP. Thank you for your grace upon this house. Someone said that today, that the grace of KCP will be upon my daughter. Lord, continually, Lord, purify that grace. Make it yours. Purify it. Streamline it. Raise hands, feet, Lord, minds there, Lord, that we keep it, Lord, pure. In the name of Jesus Christ. That Lord, we will never get to a point where the grace of man is substituted for the grace of God. That grace of conquesting will be the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. We raise giants. We raise captains of industry. We raise giants in professions. Those who will change the course of this world for good. Those who will transform this world in the real sense of the word. Not just by catchy phrases. Those are the words we are missing. And Father, we thank you. We give you praise. We lift your hands and just give you praise. Worship. Adore. Adore. Praise. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Father. Delight forth to us in pleasant place. Because we have a godly heritage. Praise Him. Father, we praise you. We hallow you. We hallow you. Hallowed be your name. You know it? Hallowed be your name. Hallowed be your name. Hallowed be your name. Scripture declares that that night that Jesus was betrayed, preparation for him going to the cross and paying that to bread. What was he saying? I'm not going to this cross. I'm not just going for you, I'm going with you. You will also one day carry on the cross. I'm going to shed my blood, not just for you. God also will be looking for those who can give their life for the sake of the world. Your world begins with this gift. So as Jesus shared his life with us, we want to share our lives with others. That's what this gift is. The bread is symbolic of his body. The wine is symbolic of his blood. And the Bible says that the life of the animal is perfect. So can you please bring them back? Lord, we break this bread today, following your footsteps, that night you broke bread and we said we share. Lord, we follow your footsteps. But this is not just bread to us, but it's bread. But Lord, make it a symbol. Lord, infuse it, God, with meaning, that even as we share it, Father, you will remind us, Lord, of that ultimate sacrifice that you had to pay, Lord, for the sake of mankind. Reminding us also that we must also be willing, Lord, to lay our lives down. As I share this, Lord, with parents today, and as I partake of it first, let it remind us, Lord, I'm really sharing my faith, that we are part of a bigger story. In the name of Jesus. This is the blood of Jesus broken. This is the body of Christ broken. This is the body of Christ broken. This is the body of Christ broken. 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 Body of Christ Scripture says, in the same manner, after that supper, I took the cup. Lord, we raise this fruit juice before you today, Lord, we ask. Let it remind us, God, of that price that you paid, that you gave your life. That we also, Lord, will be healed. Remind me, Lord, to always be willing, Lord, to support this spirit, Lord. Whichever way, remind me, quiet minded. That even as they share it, Lord, we all be reminded, Lord, that we are living life together. Let the spirit of koinonia, the spirit of communion, not just be limited to bread or to fruit juice, but the tangible reality of life. In the name of Jesus. This is the blood of Jesus shed. Guys, let's go ahead. We are come back and say. to let rituals define reality for us. You just administered Holy Communion to your kids. Where did that start from? Jesus did that with his disciples. I want you to reflect with me. Some brief moment of silence so that you can have some meaning. It was that night that everything that Jesus had been saying about him going to the cross, it was that night that the reality dawned on his disciples that this guy was really going to give his life for them. Parents, mentors, reflect. You just made a commitment. You just shared commitment with these children. Are you going to relate with them based on convenience? Jesus didn't do that. It was based on sacrifice. Are you going to relate with them so that you can show up your status in society? Jesus didn't do that. He made himself of no reputation. And for you children, I'm going to say this in the simplest way that I can. But I believe your parents will also take that truth forward and break it down. When Jesus gave his life, when he shared communion with the disciples that night, the disciples knew, number one, he was going to give his life for them. Number two, the one that has to do with them, they also know that since he's given his life for them, they no longer live for themselves. They must now live based on whatever he says, whatever he wants, whatever he desires. They will go wherever he said. What is that? Obedience to your parents. Now, whatever decision you are making, the first thing that comes to your mind is, how will my parents take this? Whatever statement you hear outside, you compare it with what your parents told you at home. If it agrees, then it's right. If it disagrees, then it's wrong. I hope the parents are listening. You also have to. What you're telling them is good and godly. This is shared life. And for the whole community, even as you're there, I don't want you to just stand there and be like an onlooker. We're sharing life together. It takes this community to raise these kids. There are places the parents can go. Some of us will be there. We're also receiving responsibilities from God. And we're going to see this through. We're going to see this through. We're not leaving this awesome responsibility only to the parents. We're going to be dependent partners. We are in this together. Now these children, they are our children. Because God gave them to us. Father, we thank you. And we commit ourselves to this. And no man takes his honor to himself. It's not of him who wills, not of him who wrongs, not of him that shows mercy. It's not by power. It's not by might. But we know it's not enough that we want to do this. But we know it's not in our strength. That we know we depend on you. For resources of wisdom, resources material, resources financial, resources spiritual, resources of God in terms of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All that is needed will come. For these kids, that when they stand in years to come, they'll put a smile on their face. They bring glory to your name. You'll be a blessing. Father, we thank you because you want to do this much more than we want to do. Therein lies our confidence. In Jesus' name. Amen. 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 Thank you very much. Let's give God a hand. We're going to give out some gifts to these kids, and then they will come out one by one. Thank you, mentors. Thank you, parents. Okay, so they'll come out one by one and then they stand. You present, you give me the gift and then I give it to them. Okay, I'll just say, alright. That's the way it goes. Okay, well, right. Congratulations. Osla. Jerusha. Sheila Bagay. Checks. The pilots. Alright, let's spread out. Let's spread out. Let's spread out. The tallest here, so let him stand. So it's my honor, my privilege, and with all Jesus' joy, excitement, I feel like dancing. I present to you the transition team of the night. Somewhere tonight, right? Please, let's know where it's happening. Thank you very much. I'm done. What next? When there's Thanksgiving night, I don't have the time for Thanksgiving now. And I don't know the plan the ushers have for this, but I know we all come out, right? Dance. That's one thing we have to do deliberately in KCB. Because we don't dance all the time. So when the opportunity comes, please take it. You don't know when next you'll get it. So today is the day of dancing. Please, take full advantage of it. Because you never know, it might be September next year before you have the opportunity of dancing again. Right. So we give it, we let Voice of One just lead us. Why are you scratching your head? You guys be prepared for it? All right.
Hail my
Heavenly Father, we thank you. Accept us, Lord, accept our offering. The reason why we are full of gratitude today, Lord, don't let it wait. Daily remind us, Lord, of this. Lord, inscribe it upon our hearts, Lord, that which has gone on here today. Don't let it just remain here. Let it become a life, a lifestyle, a value system for your glory, for human flourishing. In Jesus' name.
Good afternoon, church. Okay, let's all be seated for a brief announcement from M4 Media.
Today's message is available for download on all devices immediately after the service at the media stand. The Center for Transformational Leadership, CTL, just presents the Kingdom Citizens Pavilion KCP orientation classes a week of intensive seminar and workshop with focus on the KCP vision and mission, the KCP core values, the KCP structure and culture, among others. Come and get strategic insight into what we do, how we do, and why we do the things that we do, or why we do the things the way we do. This orientation session is for all those who are yet to go through the KCP orientation and new membership class, all KCP heads of ministry, and all members who want to refresh your knowledge in these areas. Dates: today is Sunday 15th to Saturday 21st September 2019. Time 5 p.m. daily. Venue: the Pavilion Hall. Registration forms are available now with ushers at the CTL registration desk for 1,000 naira only. For more inquiries, call Joseph on 0703-219-8877 or visit Faham. Join us for Rema Time, a time of in-depth study of the Word, every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. KCP tent of meeting, a moment of intense communication with God, every Friday by 5 p.m. Humans ought to always pray and not lose heart. Sunday services, early risers session comes up by 7:45 a.m. and Present Truth broadcast by 10 a.m. KCIS daycare is now open for kids from 3 months to 1 year, Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. To contact Tonya on 0803-604-982. Admissions on for KCC into JSS1, JSS2, and SS1. Admission form is 2,500 naira. Pick up the form at the school. Number 6, door closed to wear jihad. For further inquiry, please call Mr. Charles Ayibusi on 070-300-52130. KCC, Building Nation Builders. AWDR Answers with Dr. Edry, the radio program where critical life issues are clarified, airs every Thursdays by 3 p.m. on Patrice Radio and a repeat broadcast on Friday by 4:30 p.m. on FM 93.7. Patrice Radio, the online radio station of global outreach that informs, educates, inspires, and entertains you. Download the app on Google Play Store and Apple iOS Store to stream all our broadcasts. Patrice Radio, spice of the world, flavor of the airwaves. To know more about the church, please visit our website at www.thekingdomcitizens.ng.com. Send us an email to the embassy at thekingdomcitizensng.com and follow us on all our social media handles at KCPJus. Always feel free to leave a comment about today's message on the go. For your tithes and church operations and investments, make direct payment or standing order to the church account. First Bank 2007
377-18 GT Bank, 0026-191-699. Triton offering envelopes and the ushers do not drop your offering in the basket provided at the entrance of the church. For Facility Development Fund Commission funds, please contact your AGM leaders. Here is the USSD code to make direct payments. GT Bank, dial *737# first, then dial *9894#. Do you have a message record?
Good afternoon once again, Church. My name is Wale Hamza, and on behalf of the members of the Governing Council of the Church, I want to see by raise of hand if you are worshiping with us for the first time in this our unique service, rites of passage. Anybody? Thank you very much. Thank you so much. We are glad you are here, and we are so happy that you are been joining us for this unique service that we normally have, because Christ says something that as he hears, he judges, and his judgments are always right. And this is basically what we have done. God has given us these children, these friends to mentor, to their parents, and then we just want to pass some values that God has given us to pass it to them, so that they too can pass it to their children and then to their children's children. So that's what we have done today, and we want you to know more about our activities, what we are all about in this church, and we'll have a special reception for you. So I want you to please stand up, kindly stand up, pick your bag, your Bible, your phones. Joy will be at the door there. You go with her. There's something prepared as a reception for you. And any question you want to ask her, please, she will give you clarification. Thank you so much for coming. We're glad you came. Thank you so much. Please, let's keep clapping for him now, please. Good. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Church.
Is it still working? Are you guys want to hear what I was whispering to my wife? I know it was on. The announcement for the orientation class, I just want to sort of amplify that. It starts this evening by 5 p.m. For those who have been in this church for a while and we've not, really kind of, get into learning how we do things, why we do things the way we do it. And your mind is made up to all of us. So it's necessary that you go through this 1 week, series of sessions. So it starts tonight by 5. So we're expecting all those who have registered. And if you still want to register, you can still do that. Today the form is 1,000 naira each. You can see Joseph, Pastor Joseph. The handsome man. Right, so that's Joseph. You can see him after the service, or just walk up to the hall. The hall is our office. Right, there's the house on the road. So please, it's very necessary for you to. Scripture says, know them who labor amongst you. So we don't want you to be part of something that you don't really know, what we're doing. And like it's announced, it's mandatory for all heads of ministries, all members of the government council. You have to be there. And there are some faces that I'm seeing who are old. I don't like using the word old. They've been here for a while. I believe they need to hit the refresh button. You are also being invited. And the form is also 1,000, even if you are coming for a refresher. So see you at 5. Alright, so you guys have a great week. We'll see you on Wednesday. And then for those coming at 5, we'll see you at 5. Bye.